Good morning, guys. My name is Sean Dexter, and I welcome you back to the Mango Grow for your daily Bitcoin and market analysis. My, oh my, oh my, it is Friday already, and what a week it has been. What a fantastic trading week. The volatility has been amazing. The ranges have been amazing. I hope you guys have been taking advantage of this environment, because now is the time, guys. Now is the time to be accumulating those profits. Do not wait for the bull run to start accumulating those profits, because at that time, you're going to be emotional. You're going to be FOMOing into the wrong trades. You do not want to be in that mindset. And yes, to answer many of your questions, I do not think that we are in the bull run phase yet, right? If you guys have been following Mango for a while, you guys know exactly my thoughts on that. But that doesn't mean you should not be taking advantage of this current market conditions. I was talking to Ted Sheets last night, and I was telling him, I swear to God, man, this kind of trading environment comes only once a cycle, where the TA is so pure, where it becomes so easy to trade your technical analysis. This is that period. So put in the hard work now, guys. Accumulate those profits now, because in the bull market, that's when the profits tenfold. Oh, and by the way, on that note, I do want to give a shout out to Ajesh right over here. Just last night, he messaged me saying that he doubled his account this month. Right over here, you guys can see it. And that's amazing, guys. To start off your year doubling your account, leading in to the inevitable bull market whenever it does come, is huge. Because when you 2x your account during this phase of the market, you are going to be that much more stress-free in the bull market when it does come. Because think about it, okay? Let's say you 2x your account and you keep your account in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano, whatever coin you guys choose. So you 2x your account, and then the bull market comes and the bull market goes 5x on that particular coin. So now you have 2x times 5x equals a 10x. And that's come with you doing nothing in the bull market. You just sitting back and being stress-free while everyone else is getting emotional and chasing a parabolic run. That's how they all get caught up in the storm, while you are sitting and watching your account already 10x, and you've been doing nothing. You've just been sitting back, right? And you're like, damn, how did this happen? All I did was put in the effort and the hard work during the previous phase of this market. So between the bear phase and the bull phase, this phase over here, guys, that's the phase. If you trade well, you can reap the benefits of the bull market without getting too emotional. You'll be able to temper your emotions while everyone else gets caught in the storm, gets caught in coins like Luna that go to zero. Now, if you guys made this mistake, made the Luna mistake in the previous cycle, don't worry about it. We've all been there. We've all made stupid mistakes. But now, this phase, this opportunity that you're getting, do not waste it. You don't have to do anything fancy. He says it right here, Ajay. He's like, I've not done anything fancy. All he did was use the dashboard, dynamic, and Ichimoku. And honestly, guys, you don't need either of this. You don't need the dashboard. You don't need the dynamic. The dashboard is just a filtering tool, right? That's all it really does. If you put in all the hard work in the mornings, you're going to be able to find all the information that the dashboard gives you anyways. The dynamic is just another convenient trend tool. These two tools just exist to make your life easier. The Ichimoku is completely free. That's how I started. Use the Ichimoku. It's a free indicator tool. It's a system, and you're going to be fine. Put in the hard work. Use the Ichimoku. You guys are going to be fine. You guys can, all you need is a 2x of your account in this phase of the market. And then when the next phase of the market comes, you guys will automatically, just by the dynamics of the bull market, 5x the 2x that you already have. right? So then you have a 10x, right? So Ajesh is already sitting in a very, very freaking good position. Good job, Ajesh. Good job. Oh, right. I also do want to talk about this comment over here today. There are a couple of really, really insightful talking points over here that are going to help all of you, especially those of you who are new to trading. But we should really start with Bitcoin over here. Bitcoin beginning to show us the volatility profile and the trend profile that we do like. If you guys do remember from the previous video, right? I actually do have a screenshot of the volatility profile from the previous video. I'm going to pull it up over, where should I put it? All right, there we go. We're going to leave it there for now. I know it's a bit messy, but just bear with me. I'm using this as reference so you guys better understand this idea, right? So in the previous video, that was on the 25th, we discussed how the volatility and trend profile is not the ideal conditions that I would like on Bitcoin, right? And what we had essentially was long across all time frames, the 4 hour, the 12 hour, and the daily, with high volatility across all time frames. Now, we did have volatility beginning to compress on the 4 hour time frame, but we still had red volatility on the 12 hour and red volatility on the daily, right? And I'd said that I'd much rather have a short trend on the 4 hour time frame with lower volatility on the 12 hour and on the daily, right? You guys can see the blue arrows over here that marked out. I had emphasized how instead of having a long profile across all time frame with high volatility, I'd much rather have a short on the lower time frames with long on the mid to high time frames with lower volatility, right? And hey, we're beginning to see that now. We don't have a short trend on the 4 hour yet, but we have flipped to neutral. And take a look at what's going on with the 12-hour volatility right over here, guys. The 12-hour volatility has now compressed down to single digits. It's blue. We are now beginning to put in the perfect profile that we talked about right over here that leads to this bull flag like structure on the higher time frames, right? Because we discussed how we have the impulsive move on the mid to high time frames, and then when you go into a downtrend on the lower time frames, which is what we're beginning to see, right? The 4 hour flipped from long to neutral, right? Which is your consolidation formation, guys. But when it goes from neutral to short, it could actually be putting in a bull flag like formation on the higher time frames. And what are we seeing over here? What are we seeing on the charts? What are we seeing? If you take a look at the structure of the charts, you have your impulsive move right over here, and you have your consolidation. So you don't have the bull flag that we've drawn out like this, right? But you have your bull flag that's looking like this. In fact, this is a lot more bullish of a structure, guys, because you have your higher lows being put in place against higher time frame resistance. Remember, going back to the previous video again, guys, we said that as long as Bitcoin is closing weeklies underneath this high over here coming in from September, right? We are going to be looking at that as resistance, and that's something to be concerned about when we had this profile over here, guys, where we had high volatility on the 12 hour, high volatility on the daily, but now we have compressed volatility beginning to show up on the 12 hour. The daily is still something to be concerned about, right? But the 12 hour and what we're seeing in combination with the oscillator profile is beginning to make me wonder, is Bitcoin putting in the structure required leading into the monthly close to blow past this resistance? Because if we blow past this resistance, I'm not so sure that we hold this next level resistance, guys. I think that Bitcoin makes its way up to around 30K. Now, we're getting ahead of ourselves, right? We're getting ahead of ourselves. We don't have the break just yet, but it is something. It is something to keep at the back of your minds and not get too aggressively bearish either if you start seeing Bitcoin break these levels. If you are inclined to put on a short along these levels over here, no one's going to blame you, okay? As long as you risk manage against the break to the upside, okay? Be very, very careful on that and manage your stops and your invalidations correctly, appropriately. Okay, before we talk about targets, and I know many of you guys are going to want targets, considering we're going into the weekend, I do have some upside levels in mind as well as some downside levels, right? But before we talk about that, I do want to discuss what's going on over here on the oscillator profile, because there's something interesting going on over here, okay? And this time, what we have, guys, is not our usual daily oscillator profile, but instead, what we have over here is the 12-hour as well as the 4-hour oscillator overlaid on top of each other. Okay, now this is something you guys can do with the Mango Mother. If you guys are on the Mango C program, you get access to the Mango oscillators right over here. It's essentially a oscillator indicator with some really cool features. And what we've done over here is we have the 12-hour RSI in red, right? And the 4-hour RSI in white, okay? Now, there's something really interesting going on over here, because technically, if you look at the 12-hour, you could say that, you know, there is no bullish divergence being put in place, because we do have a high low between this point over here and this point over here, right? And by the way, this corresponds to this area over here, guys, on the chart, and this area over here. But look at the divergence in the slope between the two. That's something that you guys really should look at as well, right? When you have your RSI pretty much double bottoming, and the divergence in the actual trend is this high between the two high lows, it's something to be keeping in mind. And then you combine that with what's going on the 4 hour. And you guys can see that the 4 hour is finding RSI support on this level over here, guys, right? This is the mid zone, the 50 level. The 4 hour has been bouncing off that zone. And the last time we bounced off this zone was in this consolidation phase. This consolidation phase, the 4 hour came down there, bounced off it, and went up to our next weekly resistance level, right? Well, now you could be looking at the RSI as a falling channel on over to the same RSI support. And if this falling channel breaks to the upside, you're going to see the 12-hour momentum break to the upside as well, which is going to lead to a cascading momentum play from the 4-hour to the 12-hour, and in my opinion, that's going to cause a big move as soon as we take out this high over here, and that will take us at the very least to the next weekly level coming in around here, guys. And I believe this level is sitting at around $24,400, right? And this, by the way, lines up with the measured move of our cascading pattern play, right? We haven't discussed this in a couple of videos, but we identified all the way when Bitcoin was sitting at around $16,000. We had identified a falling channel with a ascending triangle underneath it, right? Because the falling channel broke towards the downside, turned into an ascending triangle right underneath the falling channel, and then that led to a cascading pattern play pointing to $24,400, right? So now we have all of that playing out, right? This was our ascending triangle on the lower time frames. This was our falling channel on the higher time frames. I'm drawing it really shabbily, but you guys get the idea, right? Falling channel that broke towards the downside, ascending triangle, and now you're seeing the measured move play out. And if we actually see this bull flag break to the upside, it would be us getting all the way to the perfect target length of the measured move, which would be this level right over here, guys, 24,400-ish. So again, we're getting ahead of ourselves because this could break down. This entire structure over here could break down. And from our previous video, our downside targets have not changed. We do have our first downside target, which is a weekly level. Let me go ahead and change colors. Our first target is around 21,800-ish. And then we have a second target, which is more of a zone, guys. It's coming in around 21,300 to 20,900, right? Now, we're drawing out our targets from top to bottom, right? Because we will be breaking from the top to the downside. So let me just go ahead and erase this, and our targets are somewhere in the middle over here, and then the zone over here, right? So yeah, just go ahead and mark out these levels on your chart, and you guys should be good. All right, so yeah, that's Bitcoin. We talked about the RSI. We talked about our targets to the upside. Targets to the upside, of course, key level 24,400. If we break that, likely gonna make our way to around 30,000, guys. Okay, if we break 24,000. Let's round up to 25,000. Okay, use some nice round numbers. If you break around 25,000, that's when you can look towards 30,000 to 30,000, 32,000-ish as well, right? That's another zone that you could look at, 30K to 32K. And we'll be talking about these levels provided that we break 24.4K leading into the monthly close. So this weekend might actually be very, very interesting. All right. Let's go ahead and read this great comment that Krisha received underneath her video. There are a couple of really insightful points here that I do want to expand on, and I think it'll be helpful for a lot of you guys learning how to trade. He says, "Thank you for the analysis. I've been watching your videos consistently for a while now. You and Sean do a great job of explaining what you're seeing on the charts." Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate that comment. He then goes on to say, "I'm relatively new to trading and was consuming a lot of these analysis videos from other creators. Probably too many." I do want to touch on this a tad bit as well. "So now I limit myself to viewing just a small select few, yours being a go-to. I'm impressed with the patience you and Sean display trading these markets." Again, thank you for the comment, but this is key. This is key that I will be getting back to. That is definitely something I need to improve on, and watching you two helped me realize that. Okay, cool. So just from reading this comment, I can tell that you're a lot more mature and reflective than a lot of new traders that I come across in this market. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. Now, there are two things I want to touch on. One is where you said that you're probably watching way too many creators. And I don't think you should beat yourself up too much on that, man, because that's how the learning journey usually goes, right? It's the exploration phase where you start off with a wide range of resources that you use, right? So there's several resources that you could be using, several content creators, books, etc., etc. But then as you begin to figure out what you resonate with, as you begin to figure out what matches your personality, you will narrow that down to a smaller subset. So that's what you're doing now, right? Which is really, really good. So yeah, good job on that. Then you go on to say, I'm impressed with the patience you and Sean display trading these markets. Now, you will be surprised as to how few people actually pick up on that. This is something I'm always telling the seedlings, that there's edge in patience. There's edge in patience. You could literally beat the crypto markets by outpatiencing, that's not even a word, but I'm going to use it, outpatiencing everyone else, right? Just be patient, right? And again, that's easier said than done, right? But how often have you told yourself, man, had I just been patient and waited for that daily level, I would have had a better bid. Had I just been patient and waited for that weekly Ichimoku Tenkin to be tested, I would have been in such a great position right now. But you gave in instead and traded the 4-hour time frame, the 1-hour time frame, and then it was too painful for you to exit the trade on your loss. So you just held, and the price came all the way down to the weekly level, right? So this is something I'm always telling people. If you don't have the nerves of steel to actually exit your losers on the lower time frames, don't trade the lower time frames, because the lower the time frames you go, the more often you have to be okay being wrong. So one way or the other, you're gonna have to be patient. If you're trading the lower time frame, you have to be patient that in the long run, your trades are gonna win out and you are gonna have a profitable account. If you're trading the higher time frames, you have to be patient for one, your levels, for price to come down to your levels, and two, for the trend to see its completion, right? Let me go ahead and just erase this. So patience is something that I really urge all of you who are struggling with to work on it. It's the one thing that you can really change about yourself, and it can make a massive impact on your future profitability. There's this great quote by Naval where he says, you always have 3 options: change it, accept it, or leave it. Now, there are many things in life that you just can't change, right? You can complain as much as you want about how the markets are manipulated, about how the Fed is controlling the price of money, etc., etc. But we don't have the power to change it. So we can accept it or leave it, right? Now, unless you're wealthy, you can't really leave the market, right? You need to use the markets to your advantage to become wealthy, and then you can choose to simply exit the markets altogether and go to an all Bitcoin standard or maybe an all gold standard. But if you're not there yet, you can't do that, right? So you have to accept it. What you can change, however, is how you behave in that environment, right? So if you have identified that patience is a struggle, work on it. Believe me, guys, I've often told you guys that our job in this community is not to make the filthy rich super fast gains, but instead to survive for the 2025 market. Many folk were too impatient for that when I was telling them this in 2021. Well, now we're only 2 years away from 2025. And the folk who did not heed my advice in 2021, they're gone. They've zeroed out their accounts. While the folk that did listen, who were patient, who were doing it mango, who were doing it the stress-free way, they're only 2 years away from their goal. Look at Ajesh. He's been patient. He's been doing it slowly, patiently. And now suddenly he's 2x his account this month, right? Because he's accumulated the skills, accumulated the foundation. Patience, guys, if you work on your patience, it will cascade onto everything else in your life. There's edge in patience. Alrighty, Ethereum. The whole world is interested in Ethereum, and Ethereum underperforming, showing some weakness over here, right? Relative to Bitcoin especially. There are multiple ways you can decipher that. The easiest way, of course, is simply by looking at the ETH-BTC chart. And you guys can see it's been breaking down over the past couple of weeks, but we'll come back to this in a bit. I do want to talk about just structurally how you can see that Ethereum has been underwhelming, right? Compared to what Bitcoin has done, Ethereum hasn't really reached the same levels. And I mean levels in the literal way. If you look at where Ethereum is sitting right over here, it's against this level, right? Bitcoin corresponding to the same Ethereum consolidation level is sitting right up against this level right here. So for Ethereum to match what Bitcoin has done through a structural perspective, Ethereum needs to be sitting at around 17.75, right? Somewhere around this level. That's where Ethereum needs to be at, just to match what Bitcoin has done. So relatively, Ethereum has been underwhelming, which has kind of surprised a lot of people who were expecting the ultrasound narrative to propel Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin. But that's not what we have been seeing at all. In fact, just through a price action perspective as well, you can look at the structure over here that Ethereum has been putting in. It's a lot more droopy, right? While Bitcoin has been smashing up against its resistance level, Ethereum has been kind of sloping downwards. Also, if you look at the puts and calls, you're going to see that Ethereum is a lot more skewed towards the put side, while Bitcoin is a lot more neutral and slightly tilted towards the call side. So essentially, Ethereum has a smile that is kind of like tilted like this, while Bitcoin has a smile that is a lot more like this, right? So essentially this is your volatility right here, and these are your deltas going this way. So what you're seeing over here is that Ethereum is getting bid up on the put side, which essentially, if you're looking at this through a market sentiment perspective, then this suggests that people are a lot more protective, right, on Ethereum than they are for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is getting bid up on both sides, the calls as well as the puts. So the calls are seeing a bid. Remember, guys, puts are essentially, you can look at puts as insurance against your position, right? They're protective positions. When you're buying puts, you're bidding up this volatility on this end over here. And if you look at this end of the curve, you're seeing that Ethereum compared to Bitcoin is not getting that much of a bid. So there's a lot more cautiousness from market participants on the Ethereum side compared to Bitcoin at the moment. Now, that's not to say that we are bearish on Ethereum. If you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know that I've been saying, hey, I do not have enough Ethereum. I need to collect my Ethereum allocation. I don't have my allocation yet. And the reason it's been a struggle for me is because the ETH BTC pairing has been so expensive, right? If you guys have been buying Ethereum using USD, by all means, it's a good trade, right? We are sitting, especially if we're looking long term, right? We were sitting at some really nice levels, right? However, if you are using Bitcoin to buy Ethereum, or like one of the two situations, right? Either you're using Bitcoin to buy Ethereum, or two, you're trying to figure out where the more optimal trade is, okay? So one of these two situations, either you're using Bitcoin or trying to figure out where the more optimal trade is, you need to be looking at the ETH BTC pairing. And when you look at the ETH BTC pairing, we were sitting up against monthly resistance. Okay, now you guys can probably see that I have this symmetrical triangle drawn out over here. I drew this a while ago, and Ethereum has really respected this triangle. We broke out. Remember, this is the daily time frame we're looking at over here. We broke out on the daily time frame, and if we actually saw a continuation over here, we would have been threatening a monthly level, and flipping this monthly level would have potentially led to the Ethereum flipping. I think the Ethereum flipping level is at 0.175 BTC, right? Somewhere around there. Now, this is a daily chart, and I wasn't that convinced that this symmetrical triangle could lead to a cascading play over here, because again, this is a key monthly level, and I would want to see at least a weekly flip this level to get convinced on a monthly break. Look at this breakout over here, this false breakout. This was a daily break that only ruined liquidity and then immediately dumped back down to the middle of the range, right? Trapping a lot of traders over here. So you don't want to get caught out over here, because then your Bitcoin is going to be feeling some serious pain if you don't actually get the trade towards the upside, especially if you're looking for the optimal trade as well, right? Because now you just got dumped on. So if you're looking for the optimal trade, you're either looking to buy above this level over here on a weekly confirmation that's coming at around 0.082 BTC, or you're looking to buy at the bottom of the range over here at around 0.572 BTC, right? At the moment, we are literally sitting smack up against the middle of the range, but we are putting in a bear flag, which can get ugly for SBTC if we see continuation down over here. But it's going to be really good for me, because I'm going to be looking to accumulate over here. If we lose this level over here, I'll accumulate a bit more around these levels. Right over here, we have another key level. This is another weekly level, by the way. We could see some support over here as well, guys, at around 0.05. So this entire zone at 0.057 to 0.055-ish is going to be a zone, and then 0.04 to 0.03. Now that's the ETH BTC pairing. Now I know a lot of you guys are more concerned about the USD pairing, and you guys can see my levels over here, right? If we break down, we're looking towards 1355-ish, 1366 to be a lot more precise, but you guys can just round down to 1350-ish, right? That's going to be a key level that Ethereum needs to hold. If we lose that level, Ethereum is actually going to come back down to around 1,050-ish, right? That's going to be the next level that Ethereum comes down to. That's towards the downside. And considering this is droopy over here, it's kind of begging the question that, hey, if Bitcoin breaks down, Ethereum's going to break down fast, really fast. So towards the upside, 1775 is going to be the next key level. Honestly, I think if Bitcoin breaks towards the upside, I think Ethereum is going to take this level. It's going to take this level and then threaten 2000. So that's going to be the next level I look towards. I don't think Ethereum is going to stop at 1775 if Bitcoin takes its key level out, right, around 25,000-ish. So look towards $2,000. But hey, if Ethereum actually struggles over here, that's serious weakness on Ethereum's side, and you're going to see the ETH-BTC pairing really, really tumble, possibly giving us those really nice bids around the zone over here, 0.05 BTC. But if we do see strength on Ethereum and Ethereum comes into threaten $2,000 and then claims $2,000, that's a big trade that we are seeing next, all the way up to 2,800-ish. So there's a huge range over here, guys. Nice, juicy range. So look for that trade. You don't want to be missing that trade. I know I don't want to be missing that trade. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We covered a lot today. I'm really, really tired. It is the weekend. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. There's massive opportunity in the markets. Did you guys enjoy this Ethereum analysis? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want me to do this at least once a week, let me know in the comments down below. And hey, I'll see you guys in the next one. Do the mango way, do the easy way, do the stress-free way. Ciao.